Father, thank you for this Fortismos family. Thank you for this community. Thank you for all these great people. Lord, and these questions they have brought, may your Spirit help us to articulate what you would do, what you would say, and what you would advise. And may we be healed, may we also receive information, and may we grow through this. In the glorious name of Jesus, I prayed. Amen. So the first question is this. Over time, I've noticed that after marriage, women either cease or slow down on the goals pursuit and put more focus on building the man, that is his ambitions and dreams. How can couples build a strong marriage even when they have demanding careers or personal goals? I think you go first because there's a woman perspective first on that, yeah.
I hope I do the question justice. And maybe to clarify before we answer all the questions, these questions are general. I think it's from a general perspective where we have ideal situations, but we understand that for every marriage, for every relationship, for every individual, the context will be different. So don't take what we are saying today as the end of it all, as a conclusive answer, because I think our responses also will depend on the context and what we know about whatever it is we are advising. So I think this question is quite general, and I'll give a general answer from that perspective, right? This is about, I think, a woman having ambitions and dreams, and for many people, why it happens that most of the times when they get married, either they cease or they tend to slow down for women, right? I also want to clarify, because I think the question typically says to focus more on building the man's dreams and ambitions. Maybe to also add a little bit of weight to that, many times it's not really only to build the man and his dreams. It's to look after the home, it's to raise the children. So there's a lot that comes with being married, beyond supporting the man's ambitions and dreams. So I don't want to make the men look demonic, like when you get married, the man oppresses you out of your ambitions and dreams, so to say. The first thing I will say is that if you're not yet married, these are discussions you need to have beforehand, right? And I think it's very, very important. When Apostle was teaching us, I think, singlehood and preparing for marriage, some of the questions and discussions you can preempt when you're dating. I say this because I know men are different. There are men who typically want a trophy wife, or they want a home wife. They want a homemaker. They don't want a woman who is going to have a career, who is going to work, who is going to make her own money. They are not comfortable with it. And we need to be okay with those men. We're not going to shame them because we know they exist, and that is fine. And the women for those men are there, right? There are men who can't afford to have a woman who is going to sit home. Like, for them, it doesn't sit well with them. They need an ambitious woman. They need a career-oriented woman. So those men are also there. Those are discussions you need to have so that you know the person that you're dating. If you know you're dating someone who does not support you to be that kind of a woman, I beseech you by the mercies of God, don't run into a marriage with that man. Because you're going to enter the marriage and start resenting the man and start resenting the children, like they have put a pause on your life, when in essence you knew what you were walking into, right? But if you are married, if you've already found yourself in a situation, probably the guy pretended during dating, or you saw the red flags and you called them pink and light orange, or whatever the case might be. If you're married, I would say keep the communication lines open so that you know where you both are with your goals, with your ambitions, and you keep on checking in on each other so that the other person does not feel abandoned. But also to the ladies, and I think Apostle can speak to the gentlemen, to the ladies, the truth is, if you choose the journey of marriage, your career is not going to get 100% of your attention at all times. That's the truth, right? I have come to appreciate that, and it's something I've been seeing, that life is in seasons. There will be seasons where you have the ability to build your career, and the truth is there will be seasons where you'll have to sacrifice part of building your career. So it's for you to understand what seasons am I in, what priorities does this season need, and what does that demand from me as a wife, so that you're able to prioritize well. I don't want to lie to you that you're going to get into marriage and every single day, every month, every year, you're going to be committed to building your career. Along the way, you might have to pause, depending again on the circumstances you're in and the context of your marriage. Okay? So for the ladies, go into marriage knowing it. It doesn't mean that your ambitions and dreams are going to fade away, they're going to die. They might if you don't pay attention to them. But it's to say that honestly, a season is going to come and you won't have the time to do it. And you have to be okay with it. I think it's something that I have never had an issue with, maybe because I had my priorities clear from the start. Like I said, I like to find my identity, not in what I do, but who I am. I am a wife, I'm a mother. I find joy in that. I remember in my previous job, I'll give examples maybe to shed a bit more light. In my previous workplace that was very exhausting and very demanding, we literally used to work day and night, like in the sense of the word, day and night, right? It was an audit firm. And one of those days, we had a team of ladies that we used to work with. The manager called me, I think, and she noticed how frustrated I was getting and overwhelmed I was getting. And she told me, I know what this career means to you because you're very ambitious and you're very hardworking. But the truth is, if you die tomorrow as a professional, we are going to get a better tracing. We will come, we'll bury you, we'll give our condolences as a company, but you will be replaced in the blink of a second, right? But you're the only mother your children are ever going to have. Okay? God willing, unless in the case of death, God forbid, you're the only wife your husband is ever going to get. Your child is only going to be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, once in a lifetime. If they go past 3 years, you've missed that phase and you've missed it. So in the sense of marriage, what I'm saying about appreciating the seasons is that you will have time to build your career. And I think sometimes, ladies, you put too much pressure on yourself because of the constant comparison. You're constantly comparing yourself to people who are making director. Your peers are making it big in their careers, and you feel like you're not making progress because of where you are. If you're married, find joy in the fact that there will be time to build that career. And that is what I've made peace with myself. I'm going to have plenty of years when the Whelans and Carabos are grown and they've moved out of the house. I have all that time to build my career. Building a career never stops and it never ends. It's not like once I clock 30, it's done for me. I've missed my window. I have to give up. There's nothing I can do about it, right? So you will always have time to build your career. I find that for me, if I'm good at my workplace and I'm not being a good wife, I'm not being a good mother, I'm not fulfilled, and that's the truth. And maybe it's just me. It might be different for another lady, but I'm speaking from my perspective. Even in the workplace that I'm at right now, thank God I work for a company now that values family, so it's a bit easy for me now. But even now, I don't know how many opportunities I've foregone to get on flights and go to another country to do work. Even just this week, they called me and told me, hi, we have a ticket for you. Can you come to Nairobi next week? We have meetings. We need you there. And I was honest. At the moment, I told my boss at the moment, I'm not able to take international flights because of A, B, C, D. And they respect that. And I keep telling my husband, a time is going to come where you get on flights and get tired. But right now, my babies need me. My home needs me. And I'm not shaming anyone who might make the decision to up and go. But personally, I've made that choice. That I can't leave Karabo in the state she's in and get on a flight and be okay. For me, it's not okay with me. I remember there's a gentleman I did work for last year, and I think he was very, very impressed. So he approached me and my husband, and he said, I want to give you an offer. Can you come and work with us at the office for 1 year? You help me arrange some things. And I think it required me to go to that office physically every single day, like a typical 8 to 5. And he was very convincing. But I turned down the offer, and he was in shock. I think he told the apostle, you need to let this woman go, let her wings fly. She needs to pursue her career. Because I think in his head, he thought he was the one holding me back. But I clarified for him, and I told him, the truth is my daughter has just gotten a serious diagnosis. The level of attention and care she needs is not something I can delegate to someone else at the time when he approached me. I told him, for now, I might have to be home and attend to her until she gets to a stage where I feel like I can entrust her to someone else. So I turned down the offer and I told him, I know it's a good opportunity. You might be promising me heaven on earth, but another opportunity will come. You get? So appreciate the season that you're in and know that you will always have time to chase your career. Again, if you're not yet married and for you feel like, for me, it's either career or death, like saga la kumanya, then marriage maybe is not for you and it should be okay. Again, don't get into marriage and start frustrating the man when you had the opportunity to make the choice. Lastly, in case you're already there and you feel like, me, mama, I still feel like you can have the balance, I think I would say if you can afford it, get support. Get support. There is no award for the most suffering woman. There is no award for the most hardworking wife. Unfortunately, you will die alone in your movie. So if you can afford it, get support. Get a house manager to help you run some things in the house. But even still, I assure you, you won't delegate everything to her. You will still have to serve your husband. You will still have to make sure you're nurturing him, that he's attended to. Your children need you. So I wouldn't also tell you go and get 10 house managers so that you chase your career and you leave your home unattended to. At the end of the day, something has to give. You can't have your cake and eat it. If you're choosing, I want to go career full blown and you still want to get married, you have to be okay with the fact that your marriage is going to suffer the consequences of your absentia. Right? Yeah, so where I know what are my priorities in this season, what can I attend to? Willan is not going to need me for the rest of it. He's going to get to a teenage level and he literally won't want me around him. Like, mommy, leave me alone, give me my space. I will have that time that I can invest in my career and build it. So don't be on pressure, right? Don't be on pressure, take it easy, know your priorities, know your seasons, and then respond accordingly. That's what I would say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think there's something you mentioned I want us to get. It's a very powerful line. It was camouflaged somewhere there. Building a career doesn't end. Building a career doesn't end. There are people in their 60s and they are still earning. And when you're 60, all your children have left home. Okay? So that was a very powerful statement. I'd like to add one thing. I agree with what she said, but perhaps one thing I may add to that is sometimes, according to that question, I've sent you the questions, you can be some of them. Sometimes it is because women just settle to be a wife or to be a mother. And this happens because some people, many times women sometimes can start to view marriage as a destination or a final destination. Now, also in the settling, women can settle for a number of reasons. They can settle for wife or mother for a number of reasons. One of those reasons can be that is how I was trained, or that is what I was told. Right? That is what I was trained. That is how I was trained, or that is what I saw. I was raised by a stay-home mom. You may find like a woman maybe was like that. She knows she gets married and the experience she has is the woman has to start home, so she will settle. And then the other reason could be, again, like I said, because the husband is insecure and he does not like the wife working. By the way, there are many of those. People will be surprised. There are actually many men who don't want their women doing anything. Some even are paying them to stay home. Yeah, they're paying them to stay home. So it is an actual thing. Now, and I also say this, and like what she said, during courtship, let us have these discussions. And when I was teaching you, I mentioned this. I have these discussions during courtship. I have these discussions during dating. What would you say to ABCD? Now, if your career is very demanding, you need to have set priorities. Okay, and I think Mama spoke about this. Are you going to set your career over your family? That's a question you need to ask. And if you do that, that's not a wise choice. If you have a family, ideally, it's not like you have a choice to put your career over your family. At that level, it's too late. You are going to lose your family. You'll be very lucky to have that family. Sometimes losing the family does not mean we break up. Sometimes it just means that I've lost the opportunity to raise my children, and when they grow up, they are going to be nuisance, nuisance. And I'll pay for them. They will sell my assets and so on and so forth. I was working so hard to build all this stuff for them, but now they don't have the capacity to handle it, and they'll squander all of it. So as a Christian, you should never put your career ahead of your family. I like the fact that the apostle, I think there's a lady I had, one of the judges, is what? Popular lady who stopped work for 7 years. Yeah, I think that's the lady I was talking about. What's her name? The former KCA director. Is she the current director? She said she first stopped to take care of her children for a certain while. Then she went back, did her law. And I spoke to these guys. I attended a female lawyer's dinner one time. I think 3 years ago. And they brought these women in law who are wonderful women. I think Honorable Rebecca Kadaga was also one of the speakers. There were all these wonderful, smart women on the panel speaking. I was surprised. In the legal profession. And many of them had family ahead of their career. Many of them took a pause at a certain time to do family. There's a lady who was pursuing a PhD, she was talking, and she had to make this decision about either to marry and go continue or to first stay. As she said, she chose to first get married, deal with this, and then go do this PhD with serious focus, and she finished it in 2 years and came back again to be with her family. So those are very tough decisions to make. Women, they are very tough. And what I've also seen naturally for ladies, when they have a child, the natural maternal instinct is to want to put everything on hold to raise a child. The women who do not are the outliers. In fact, many times bosses know. They plan somewhere. If a woman goes for maternity leave, they just start preparing for someone to replace, because many times, many women don't go back. And they need the money, but they just choose. That maternal thing, I think God put some of those things. You're always going to want to put your child above all the other things. So just know a few of those things. But I love it, that building your career doesn't. It's a powerful statement. I'd actually never thought about it. Building your career never stops. Yeah, there is no cap on at 40, your career, you have stopped building. No. Okay, second question. I hope you were blessed by that. You have taught us on how to navigate the singlehood season. When do I know that I'm ripe for marriage? have you had the metaphor? Ripe. Nyenged. You made me laugh. When do I know that I am ripe for marriage? As a woman, having Proverbs 18:22 on mind, when do I say yes when found? So Proverbs 18:22 says, "He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord." You wanna?
I can have is it for mango? I can have a go at it. And maybe Apostle will give a more detailed answer. Honestly, you will know. And I know when people tell you that answer, you roll your eyes at the back of your head. You're like, oh, please, not again. I know I was there. But the truth is, when the time comes, you will know. And for a believer, you're not at a disadvantage. You have what people in the world call the sixth sense, that inclination, that gut feeling. As a believer, I know that you will carry the conviction. When the time reaches, internally, you will just know. You will know if you're making... You've had these stories of people who say yes to proposals, arrange the wedding, and on the wedding day, they disappear because they realize, I'm just not ready for this thing. Some people, it's out of fear. For the gentlemen, I think it's out of fear for the responsibility. But for the ladies, I think they get a light bulb moment, which has always been there, but they kept, you dispel it and you ignore it and you keep saying, either the guy is putting you on pressure and he's telling you, if you don't say yes, I'll move on and find someone else. Or your family is putting you on pressure, years are going, our culture. But if you quiet all that external noise and you search and reflect deep within, the truth is you will know. I'll give an example of myself. I think I met Apostle in my last semester of campus. I was, in my last semester of campus. So we started talking, and I think 2 weeks into talking, he knew. He told me, I'm going to marry you. Like 2 weeks. And for me, I was confused. I was thinking, we haven't even dated. You don't know me like that. But anyways, I didn't respond at that time. But for him, he was ready to settle, and he knew that I am ready. And I think because he had matured. Now, what helped? He proposed in 2018, and I told him I'm not ready. And he says, what do you mean you're not ready? Like, and the truth is, as a lady, you really can't unpack that I'm not ready. But you just know, it's not yet time for me. What helped me, I think to one extent, I matured very early by the grace of God. So I think if I had gotten married in 2018, I don't think I would have done a terrible job at it. But internally for me, something just wasn't. Like I didn't have that yes affirmation in me that go for it. Bambi, he proposed again in 2019. I said, I'm not ready. Like he was so confused. He was, of course, not these dramatic proposals of going on one knee, hiring a hotel. No. We just had a conversation. I think you should have those conversations about marriage. Are you ready? Where are you? And how can I help you get to that place of preparation? So in 2018, when he proposed, I think for me the issue was I haven't yet even graduated. I don't know what I want to do with my life. Like, for me, the picture, especially career-wise, I think he met me at a time when I was at a height of ambition. One, because of the gospel I had been listening to. Like, I wanted to be the most powerful woman in the world. There's nothing you could tell me. And I had made up my mind and resolved that I'm going to be that woman at whatever cost. So he found me in that capless Bambi, innocent me, who had been corrupted with something we call ambition, but it was just greed and selfishness, to be honest, when I look back at it. So I hadn't yet graduated, and I kept telling myself, I need time. Like, I don't even have a job. I don't want to go home and sit. I'm not going to be that woman. Fast forward, I think I graduated 2018. Before I graduated, I got a job. When I got the job, I think we had also had a discussion about what my career was going to look like. I had made up my mind. After campus, I'm going to go do a master's. But at the time, my thinking was, for the master's, you go abroad and you study it and then you come back. And it was honest, and he said, honestly, if you go for the master's, that's 2 years of you away. I don't think I'm going to be able to wait for you. And he wasn't putting me on pressure to say yes, but I think he was being honest from his point of view. I'm ready to settle. I can take 1 year of waiting, but 2 years, especially with you away, I can't do long distance. That's when, for me, I think I started unpacking. Okay, do I really want this for my career? I wanted the master's at the time because my family had too much faith in me, and they were putting me on pressure to get the master's at the time. I didn't personally want it for myself. I didn't even know what I wanted to do for my career. So I was thinking, now a master's in what? I'm just going to do it just for the sake of doing. I had to have honest conversations with myself. Thankfully, in September 2018, when I just joined the company I was at, I meet this amazing lady who is now my mentor. And she sits down and she asks me, what does Tracy 5 years from now look like? And I was honest with her. I told her I want to have a family, I want to have children, I want to have a husband. Yes, I want to have a career, and I know I have that potential. But for me, it's not yet clear. A career in what? Because throw me anywhere, I can do anything and thrive. And it's not to brag, but for me, I've never had this thing of, I must find purpose in my career. No, for me, my purpose is in Christ and the work of the gospel. So I've never been there to derive a sense of meaning from my career. And I think that's why for me it's not a big deal that I must have one career, I must be a medic. If I'm not a medic, I'm a failure. No. For me, the career is honestly just to get us income, to make money, and live a good life, to be honest. So I had a conversation with her. She helped me unpack it very properly. And she said, okay, you want to do a master's, but you don't have to go abroad to do the master's. You don't have to make your family suffer to get the master's. But 2, you're still very young. You've just gotten a degree. You don't even know what career path you want to take. You don't have work experience. I'd advise for the master's, it's usually good that you first get some work experience and then you go get the master's. So I worked for those September to December. After getting the work experience, I realized, okay, the truth is I've worked and I've gotten the money. And the truth is that job at entry level, they really pay highly when you're entering. So I made the money, and there's a fulfillment I didn't get. And I said, okay, maybe this is not really what I want. Making money might just not be it for me. 2019 came. We had that discussion. I told him, I think mentally I'm not yet in that place where I'm in, like I see myself in a marriage. For me, it was more about the mentor than these other things, because I think I was trained well. Every other aspect I was ready, but mentally I just couldn't imagine myself as a mom. So I have the conversation with my dad, and my dad tells me, you know what, first graduate, because I hadn't yet even graduated. He tells me, first graduate. By the time you graduate, let's have the discussion again, and we see if this is still what you want for yourself. So after graduation, I haven't told him before. My dad calls me again. He comes in the bedroom and he says, do you still want to get married? And I tell him, I think so. He says, you're still not ready. Let's give it a year. I'm sure that you can't make a wrong decision as pertaining to the choice of a man. I'm sure you have a good man. He can wait for you. My dad always had that thing. So 2019, towards the end, the discussion comes up again. And I think by then I was ready. I had graduated, I had worked a bit, I realized, okay, this master's thing, it can really wait. I just wanted it for sure. Yeah, and by then, I just knew, okay, now I can do it. That's when I think our families met and started having the conversations into 2020. So, more of the story, you will know. Just quiet that outside noise. Stop family putting you on pressure. Stop these boyfriends who want a yes there and then they want to propose at one day, get traffic light so that you're forced to say yes. First, quiet all that, but internally, you will know you're ripe, so to say, when you're found, yeah.
Wow, thank you very much. Can you just appreciate that response? Let me just add another thing. So, the actual truth is you will know, but there may be people who want some kind of practical way. I'll tell you this. One of the things I have learned now is that at times it could be you can set certain milestones for your life. You could add milestones for your life and they could be indicators. Okay, so you could say something like, let me finish when I finish school, have a job, ABCD. Now, these milestones are not a guidance. They are much more of guardrails when you are in a state of uncertainty. So, before I get the clear knowing, I can set these things. I can say, okay, if it's a girl in school, say, okay, when I finish my degree, I'll be open to marriage. Gentlemen say, let me get a stable job. You know, that's a thing. I say, let me get a stable job. Let me finish this and this, then I'll be ready. Now, it wouldn't be wise to set it on a particular amount of money. Now, like I said, the milestones, let the milestones not be the guidance. Let the milestone be the guardrail against mistakes. Okay? Now, also, in this time, especially for a gentleman, even ladies, you can say, if I find a lady like this, and I spoke about this, you set a value system. A value. People will say, how did I know that I wanted to marry her in 2 weeks? It's not because the Holy Spirit told me. It's because I had a value system. So, I audited that value system on her. You get what I'm saying? I had these things I wanted in a woman I was going to marry. These values, a value system. Okay? So when I met her, I start to check that. Okay? Because there's a question there on leading, and we're going to speak about it. And we're already doing leading on Tuesdays, right? People can get confused by these things because your emotions will get in the way. Let me tell you, guys, you are going to see a woman who is beautiful, who is hot. When you see a hot woman, you will feel led. You just have to be honest with yourself. You're going to see a brown woman with hips, you are going to feel God telling you, she's the one. So when you have put those things I've talked about, the value system, then they help you in that season not to make a permanent decision based on a fleshly observation. You get it? And also for gentlemen, it helps you not to marry whoever is available. Because you will still also struggle when you do that. Okay? So that, I think that can help with when do I know. Now, when do I know? You can have physical milestone for your life. You don't put too much into them, but they can help you in the meantime. When I entered campus, I remember telling my friends that I'm going to marry at 21 or something like that. The guys all laughed at me. They said, of course, by that time they used to call me Musuba Zumba or Zaga. So those guys, and this is how they used to talk. I met those guys a few years back. I told them, it's just interesting that all of you made families before me. All of them got women and children before me. Yet the other one saying, me, I can't. They were saying, unless I'm 30 and I have a car, I have this. All of them had children, I think, before they were 30. So, and I was the last, actually. I don't know if that's right. Then I married much, much later. But I kept thinking I'll do it at 21. And I had a lot of growing up to do. So, I didn't know this thing. And now I'm telling you, gentlemen, ladies, set a value system. Yeah.
I just remembered something. In case you can't trust that knowing I'm talking about. I know we talk about it a lot and people take it for granted. But just run the decision by your pastors. Right? In those 2 weeks, when he got the confirmation that, okay, I think this is it, he told me something. I think he has talked about it before. He said, okay, I feel like I'm ready to settle and I'm going to marry you. But I'm going to first take you to my pastors because we were in different churches at the time. I'm going to first take you to my pastors. They'll have a conversation about you. If my pastor says either I'm not ready or this is not the person for you, don't pursue this. Honestly, Tracy, I'm going to have to call this off. And for me, because I think of the system I had came from of accountability, I appreciated that because I knew, okay, one, if anything ever happens, I know I have somewhere to run and report this guy. But two, I respected the fact that he did it quite early. Some of you want to wait, you go and you date in private, then you come and tell us when you've already made the resolve and you've fallen too deep in love, you've slid and fallen, and you lie to us that God told you. Do it before your whole heart falls in. Because once you fall in, you'll start seeing with your eyes closed. Me, I propose, and I usually tell the lady. And usually when you tell people, they say, wow, they are trying to control me. I am an adult person. I can make my decisions. The people who have gone ahead and made that decision after we have talked to them, we know where they are right now, right? And your counseling seat will be ready. So for me, I would propose, another part of that knowing is don't be quick to make that decision. Just come and run by your pastor. You know, I feel like I'm ready to settle. This gentleman has approached me. Is it something I should pursue forward? Many times we know you more than you know yourselves, and that's the truth. And I'll be able to tell you, know what, there's this area. I think you just wait a little bit to pursue this thing. And you'll realize eventually 5 months, 6 months down the lane that, okay, maybe they were right. I shouldn't have made that decision so quickly. Yeah, so just run it by your pastor. Don't hide. Please, don't hide. You come and we have a conversation about it. Because now when you're dating in hiding, we also don't know how to help you when things go south. Right? So try as much as possible to engage your leaders from the beginning. Let's walk the journey with you. Otherwise, now that we'll start having prayer points. Now you've already made the decision. So if you don't trust that knowing, and it's not saying that you're giving away your autonomy to your pastor. He's the know-it-all for your life. He puts the dots on every sentence of your life. But it's someone who knows you from the outside, and they have far more wisdom than you have. They have probably walked the journey before. I've dated in secret before, and it ended in tears. So for me, I appreciated that. I appreciated the fact that he wanted to make this known, especially to his spiritual leaders. That accountability helps a lot. Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. In case you're wondering, I also made mistakes before I got married. Number 3. As Christians, we prioritize faith and devotion to Yahweh as non-negotiable. What should I do if I find myself in a marriage with a man who has poor financial discipline Should I consider separation? Set up a private trust fund? Or patiently support him while he learns to manage money responsibly?
My answer is don't find yourself in that marriage. I'm assuming this is not coming from a married person. I keep saying that as single people, you don't know the power of choice you have in terms of the person you're going to settle for. I saw something yesterday. Let me just read it for you and then I'll get into my answer. It says, when you choose a life partner, romance is the smallest part of it. You're choosing the way conflict will be handled in your home. You're choosing how money will be spent, saved, or wasted. You're choosing whether growth will be encouraged or dismissed. You're choosing how mistakes will be met, either with cruelty or with grace. You're choosing how anger will sound in your household and how silence will feel. You're choosing whose habits you will live with every single day. Chemistry fades. Irresponsibility, disrespect, and immaturity do not. The wrong choice will cost you years of peace that you will never get back. The right choice is always going to give you more than love. It's going to give you safety, it will give you stability, and a life you can finally breathe in. Before I get into my answer, and I will unpack the context because financial indiscipline can be because of many reasons. I don't want to say cancel the person out immediately. Yeah? But if you can, and for you already this is an issue, don't find yourself in that marriage. At least try and resolve that financial indiscipline before you walk into it. Okay? Finances is one of the reasons of many divorces we have in the church today. Not infidelity, not finances. So it's a huge, huge big deal. Okay? Now, when we tell you that the first priority when you're looking for a partner should be spiritual devotion to Yahweh as a non-negotiable, we are not telling you that you close your eyes to everything else. Huh? We are saying first, he shouldn't be a swabber. Primarily, he should be a believer who is devoted to Jesus Christ as a true disciple. Then you have to open your eyes and open them well. Like I was saying, you'll start seeing red flags as pink and you'll enter the marriage thinking just because he's a believer, you're guaranteed that you're going to have a great marriage. For financial indiscipline, I know that it might depend on many things. It could be because the person is immature, they are still young and they need time to outgrow it. It could be informed by what they saw growing up. It could be because of a lack of information. Many people made terrible financial decisions because they didn't have financial information. And after they learn and know better, they change their habits, right? Or it could just be that this person is, typically they have the information, they have been taught on finances before. It's not necessarily a trauma response. They are just poor financial, like it's a habit that they probably need to break. And that's where I have the problem, right? At a personal level, it might be difficult for you to diagnose and know where is this financial indiscipline coming from. So I would say for the start, engage a subject matter expert. It could be a financial advisor, it could be a coach. If you can't afford those, it might be a pastor or your mentor to have that conversation, and they can help you unpack and investigate where is this coming from. Now I'm talking for someone who is married, if you ever find yourself in that place, because I also know there are partners who pretend and you reach into the marriage and you find the guy has debts and he has loans and you have to take that up as a partner. Unpack that discussion with someone who is a subject matter expert, a third party, because you might not be approaching it objectively. You might be judging the man harshly and cruelly when the truth is he just hasn't come across financial information. Once you have done that, I'm assuming that it's an issue that the person also agrees they have, because you're not going to force someone to go into a third-party meeting if they don't feel like they're financially indisciplined. So that is if they also agree that they have a problem and they need help. If they also agree that they have a problem and you're in a marriage, you might agree that the person who is more financially disciplined can handle the money temporarily until this person gets better at money. And you have that discussion as a couple. I think we've had those honest conversations. Before as very, I don't know if it's frugal, before as very, I don't want to say, not frugal, the opposite.
The frugal one.
He's the frugal one. As very loose with money. Like for me, I knew money can always be made. It comes in, it goes out. you can always make more money. But over time, because of the financial... Yeah, but over time, as I kept learning and growing, for me it was an issue, honestly, I think, of lack of information and what I was exposed to growing up. Not saying that we were the wealthiest, but I think my parents found a way of cushioning us against seeing lack. Even when there was no food, I don't think they ever came and said this. They found a way of clearing and making things look like they were fine, which I didn't think was okay, but that's another discussion altogether. Where was I? Yeah, when I got the information, I started to do better. And then he realized, okay, I think I'm a bit more frugal. I literally want accountability for every coin. For this period, you can handle the finances. So we always have that dance we do. It depends on the season also. Who is better placed to handle the money? You can make that decision as a couple if you're in a marriage. If the person does not agree, if they're arrogant about it and they can't be reasoned with, unfortunately, and we've seen such marriages, it's not ideal, but partners have been forced into making such decisions as having a separate account, where you know that I will hide at least the children's school fees and money for food and rent. Because you know if your partner accesses the money, they will misuse it. It's not ideal, but we know marriages where it's happening, and it's the solution they have that's working for them at the moment until the partner probably gets to that place of, okay, I can do better now. Unfortunately, for financial indiscipline, if it's a habit and it's not an issue of information, and if the person especially is not able to reason it out, many times it doesn't stop at that. And that's why I'm saying it's a big deal. Yeah? Many times it doesn't stop at that, especially for the men. Because many men derive their identity, and he will correct me if I'm wrong, many men derive their identity from their ability to provide. Financial indiscipline, there is no doubt he will end up in debt and loans. Probably he will lose his job and end up home. What that usually translates to is either neglect, abuse, it might even be physical violence, emotional abuse, and unfortunately, many times it ends up in divorce. Okay? It's rare that you will find a gentleman, to be honest, from what I've seen, especially if they are in church, who will agree that this is an issue we need to resolve and work on together. Many times there is that split that happens in the partner, in the couple. And the man, of course, his trauma response, I think, is to turn to substance abuse, neglect, beat up the woman, emotionally abuse her, and it ends up in divorce. So financial indiscipline is a big deal. Please don't take it for granted. If it's something you can have resolved before you walk into the marriage, please do. If you feel like you can't live without the person, like this is the one God has for me, I don't think there's anyone else, which I doubt, but if it happens and you're in that place, find help as soon as possible. Have open discussions. Again, don't discuss finances. Discuss finances with your person before you walk down the aisle with them.
Finances.
Please do. These things of people telling you you're materialistic. You want to know how much I earn. You want to know where I put my money. I need to know your money.
How much are you making?
How much are you making? And where is that money going? Are you investing it somewhere? Are you saving it somewhere? Because you're going to walk into the marriage, like I said, and you have loans to clear up that you didn't know of. You have debt to pay. And it will hit you as a shock. You'll freeze and get numb in the marriage. So try as much as possible. For many of these things are not just finances. Try to resolve and unpack them before you walk down the aisle. If unfortunately you find yourself later in the marriage and these things are coming up, seek for help as early as possible. Yeah.
The money thing cannot be underestimated, how much it is decimating, especially Christian marriages. It is going through them like, ooh. In fact, I think for 90% of all the ones we know who are having issues or who have divorced, at the root it's money. You'll be surprised. It's a money issue. So be forthwith. I think we started before marriage in our courtship where forthright with our finances. How much are you making? I'm making 20K. Obontwala naye sijja sigala kuki So don't put up appearances. I know somebody close to me who also gave a lady a particular impression that they had money, which they didn't have during courtship, and they got married, and the woman of God is realizing. So she felt like the person lied to her. You get, the person lied to her, and challenges come because now you enter marriage, you don't have the money you are projecting to have. You came and borrowed my car, you drove around, hey, you took the girl to Serena. You didn't have that. So please be transparent and find out these things early. Other things you can do for those who are married. Those who are single, she has given a good. When people are married, they can also have joint accounts with dual signature, dual authorization. So if the other person needs to spend anything, they need your. It can just be for those people who can't help themselves and they're already married. It can be a control, but this is third level, second level. You just need to create the money, to change the money philosophy, and so on and so forth. But please don't play around with finances. It is not little finances which break the marriage. It was a misunderstanding on a money philosophy, a financial philosophy we have as a couple that creates issues for people.